Well, it's time to bring it on with your email questions. And Pat, this first one is from a viewer who says, Pat, I have a $500,000 whole life insurance policy that accumulates cash value over the years. But so many people are not supportive of the high amount of the policy when a lowered priced policy would protect me just as well and the premium would be less too. What's your advice?
I think whole life is one of the most awful investments that's ever been conceived of by greedy people.
How do you really feel?
I mean, it really is awful. You know, the best way to go, you know, if you want to have an investment portfolio, well, put some of the money into mutual funds or something like that and buy term life. And again, who are you protecting? I mean, life insurance is for something, but if your spouse is taken care of and if your children are grown, you might not need $500,000 of life insurance, and you might find that you can save some money. But if you need the protection, the coverage, go for a good level term policy and take the balance of what you've been putting into that, quote, whole life. You see, here's the deal, and you know it borders on fraud, but the insurance companies are huge that they'll probably sue me for saying this. But you buy insurance, okay? Theoretically, when you die, you're supposed to be able to collect the insurance, at least your heirs are. But with that whole life thing, they say, well, you're building up an annuity. The only thing is when you die, they keep the annuity and they pay off on the term. And so all that money you've saved up goes to the insurance company. Yeah. Unless you've got a provision in there where it goes to you and that they're writing them a little bit more benignly than they used to. But you asked me about it. Bailout. All right, okay. What else?
This is Megan who says, Dear Pat, I recently found out that a church I used to attend has a new rule. This church has been around since the 1920s, but the new pastor, who was hired around 5 years ago, has made it a rule that if you've been divorced, you cannot be a member of the church. This new rule also applies to current members, so some of the congregation, including members who've been attending this church for many years, have had their memberships revoked. Is that fair?
A friend of mine wrote a book once called Divorce, the Unpardonable Sin. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's grounds for divorce. There are all kinds of reasons people are divorced. Their spouse abandons them. The Bible says it's a Pauline privilege. The unbelieving spouse is pleased to depart, let them depart. Well, when they depart, the brother or sister is not bound in that case. That's what the Bible says. So you've got a spouse that deserts you, you have a right to get a divorce. This guy who's running your church is the legalist. I would recommend you fire him as fast as you can. And if you can't fire him, I recommend you find another church.
Sell him a whole life policy.
Yeah, and take your whole life policy with you. Give that to the pastor. All right, what else?
Okay, this is Gail who says, I've been teaching at my church for 4 years. One of the young adults sexually assaulted my daughter. I went to the Sunday school director and preacher and told them what happened. The preacher wanted to talk to my daughter, so I sent her. And she poured out her heart to him. They told us they would get back to us, but they never did. Our preacher let us down. My daughter has always been raised in church, and she loves God dearly. But now we aren't going to any church because she doesn't want to go. We're stuck because she doesn't trust the church anymore. What should we do?
What a mess. You didn't say how old she was. If she's under 16, for example, or under 8, depending on the law, that's statutory rape. And if somebody actually had sex with her, that boy has committed a crime, a crime, the kind that says go to jail. And I recommend that this is a crime that should be brought before the authorities. Now, if your daughter is 18 and she got molested, but she didn't say, did the guy have sex with her or did he just make an appropriate gesture? You don't know. You say he was molested. I don't know what happened to her. But the whole deal is the church should have dealt with that matter, and they haven't. And you know, the other thing you have is to bring it to the congregation, have a congregational meeting, say, I want to bring a charge. But that's so unpleasant. And maybe the best thing to do is to say, you know, I'm walking out of here There are many churches that preach the gospel. Go find one and join it.
But on the other hand, if they don't call this person to accountability, then every young woman who is in, that church
That's what happened to the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church has been sued over and over again. There've been all kinds of lawsuits against them. There've been judgments against them. Some of them, there's a bishop recently that was convicted because he didn't take action in relation to errant priests. I mean, it's a terrible thing. And this is an evil that has to be stopped out. But you didn't give me enough information to tell you exactly what the story was. But if it was all the way to sexual intercourse and there's a young underage person, big deal. Well, we leave you with today's Power Minute from Proverbs 16. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans.